Hello, everybody. I'm Retro Nerd Girl, and I'm broadcasting live from the International Science Fiction Space Station. And guess what, guys? I am going to be looking at a movie. Oh, Rollerball. Yes, it's Rollerball, and I know I've been requested to watch this movie several times from everyone on the channel, all the subscribers. Wonderful Joseph Begay sent this to me in the mail, and now I have a physical copy to add to my physical media collection that I'm growing, and this is wonderful. Also, he sent me this movie as well, which I have seen already, and love this movie. So thank you, Joseph Begay, for that wonderful gift. And I am going to review the movie right now for you guys, just to give you my first impressions of this movie. Wow. I'll set everything up. Let's add this to the stage. Wow, is my assessment. This is Rollerball, released in 1975. The rating for this was just approved. I suppose they just said, okay, well, we approve it for something. You can air it. The runtime is 2 hours and 5 minutes, so it's pretty long, and you do feel the time. That's probably my one criticism about the movie, is that it's very long, but it's also um, does have a slow pace, but also it's very good, so I don't care. I don't care. It's great. It's a great movie. I've always been averted to this movie because it appears to be a sports movie. I have seen the trailers for this movie. I've seen the poster for this movie. I was like, oh no, I don't want to see like the sports movie. I don't want to see that. And little did I know, the sports in this film is used as a vehicle to talk about this particular society. And this particular society is sort of a warning of what our society today might eventually become. So there's a social commentary in there, and there is a warning, and also the inhumanity of humanity. I mean, I'm in. You got me. Yeah. So yes, I am absolutely overjoyed at what just witnessed. Just to kind of give you a rundown, we have a bit of like classical music done with an organ in this movie. Toccata and Fugue in D minor. And it's the music that you play when you want Dracula to come out and the howling werewolf to be in the background. It's like, ow, 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 ow. It's like, dun, 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 dun. You know the music, but it is very spooky, very weird, very foreboding. Foreboding is the word I would think of. And it starts off setting up the stage for this show. It's a show. It's highly produced. We see the lights go on. We see the technicians turn on all of the little nobules and things, and we see the executives come and sit and choose their high-end places in the glass high above so they can see everything. It's very procedural, but also letting you know about the hierarchy of this world. Here we have the fans piling in, and it's pretty normal. It actually kind of looks like our world a little bit, right? It looks a little bit like our world, but it may be a lot more steel than we are used to, a lot more shinier than our world is, a lot more technology being used and things like that. At least for 1975. We have Houston, Texas playing against Madrid. Now, before I go any further, I want to kind of go through a little bit more information about the movie. The synopsis is: in a corporate controlled future, an ultra violent sport known as rollerball represents the world. And one of and one of its powerful athletes is out to defy those who want him out of the game. So we get that sense that there's quite a bit of fiction that's going to be happening in this movie. It's directed by Norman Jewison, and he is famous for a lot of really amazing movies. The Cincinnati Kid in 1965, In the Heat of the Night, which was highly acclaimed in 1968, Fiddler on the Roof, 1971, Jesus Christ Superstar, 1973. He also did A Soldier Story, 1984. He did Moonstruck in 1987 and Agnes of God in 1985. Very, very intimidating list of movies that he has. The film was written by William Harrison. It stars James Caan as Jonathan E. We don't have a last name, we just have E. We have Bartholomew, played by John Houseman. And all you had to say, everybody, all you had to say is John Houseman is in that movie. And I would have been like, what? I'm there. And yeah. And then we have the beautiful Maud Adams, who's probably one of the more famous Bond girls, plays Ella. We've got John Beck playing Moon Pie. John Beck is absolutely incredible in this, and he is very famous for doing a lot of television shows in like the 70s and 80s. Then we have Moses Gunn as Cletus, who is an executive in this movie. And we also have Robert Ito playing a strategy coach for Houston. And we have the legendary Ralph Richardson playing the librarian. And it's actually a very comedic, without being overtly comedic. He was hilarious and really added a lot of charm to his moments on screen. I adored it intensely, intensely. We've got Jonathan here, who is an incredible athlete. He comes out with his fist balled up, and he is banging up against his leg every time he a new game. And I think it's a combination of probably nerves, but also aggression. This is the fire that makes him win all of his games. He's just waiting to play. He loves the game. He loves it. This game is a very big part of the society. And here are Jonathan's teammates. One of my other critiques of the film is that I do wish we had more concentration on learning about these guys. Wouldn't have taken very long to develop a little storyline for each one, or to understand what they mean to him as a team player, how long they've been together, what their lives are like, why are they in the game, and just so we can develop an emotional pull towards them as characters. Now, it is a wild sporting event. People are getting hurt. But the only thing that seems to really keep this game in check are the fact that they have penalties for certain things that are being done. And it's definitely what's holding these guys back from like going all out and killing each other in the arena. Just as a demonstration here, for the first game, you see Jonathan actually being the leader of his team. He is definitely like a one-man show, really. But his team is also part of this, and also telling his team what to do, where to go, to back him up in the most appropriate moment. And they listen. You know, they like winning. It's all done very descriptively by watching this. So I paid very good attention to this part, because it was the example of this is the reason why these guys follow him, and this is the reason why he's so important to the story. It's the game. It's the game. And so we have a sort of second in command, or second right hand man, which is Moon Pie. Now, Moon Pie is what I would consider one of the most endearing characters in the movie, I would say. He does have a bad side, and his bad side is that he is a brute, and he is also a huge bigot. Huge. And the reason why I'm not mad at him for being a bigot is because he doesn't really know better. He hasn't been exposed to a lot of things. There are times when Jonathan is just looking at him like, "Are you serious?" Or like, there isn't a lot going on upstairs. So you kind of feel bad for him, in the fact that he really isn't that smart of a guy, but he does recognize Jonathan's abilities as a leader and as a player, and so he has been watching him very closely. He has been studying everything to do with Jonathan with the game, and they respond to each other very well, to the point that you could say that they're actually friends and they kind of understand each other. If anybody understands Moon Pie, it's Jonathan, and if anybody understands Jonathan, it's probably Moon Pie. There's something endearing about this terrible person. Is all I have to say. Now, game is centered around this roller ball that must go inside of a goal. And there's only one guy who knows how to do it the best, and that's Jonathan E. That's beautifully set up in the first few minutes. They win the game, and in the locker room, we've got a visit from one of the top executives, Bartholomew, who comes into the locker room and is speaking very cryptically. He even gives Moon Pie some drugs. It's just the wildest thing. You're immediately like, who is this guy and why is he giving off like evil bad guy vibe? Like, I see you. And of course, Moon Pie isn't very smart. He just grabs it. But as you can see there, he's got scars all over him. And that plays a big part in the story, that these guys are getting scarred up all over from the game. It's very, very dangerous. When you look at the character, Mr. Bartholomew, he's looking at Jonathan E. in a very odd and unusual way. He also tells him, "Hey, come to my office tomorrow and we'll have a little talk." And he's like, "Okay." Jonathan is like, "Oh, okay." Um, he acts like Jonathan acts like a dumb brute, but he's not. He's just very reserved. He is very strong-willed. They kind of sum up each other by looking at each other, but look at the way he's looking. Look at it. Look at the way he's looking at Bartholomew. He's like, I don't know about you, dude. I'm getting like wild vibes from you. And again, you can see how he's totally scarred up there. He's got all these scars on him, and that's from the game. It's really cool. But these guys are pretty much celebrities, and I love the fact that they play that up. And pretty much throughout the entire movie, I kid you not, James Caan has this shirt on that's kind of zipped all the way down, so you can see a little bit of man chest here, and that is definitely something that you would not see being done today. And I thought, wow, what a moment in history, like 1975. You're really seeing the fashions of 1975 come through in this film, even though this is supposed to be set in the future. They're enjoying the life of celebrities. They get top treatments. They have the best homes. They have anything that they want is theirs. There is the use of this building from Google says the Rollerball's arena sequences were shot at Rudi Sittelmeyer Halle in Munich, West Germany. This hall was selected because it was the only sports arena in the world with a near circular profile, which the production could take over and redress for shooting. And it looks absolutely incredible in this film. They used it very well. Bravo for them for finding this location and using it for exterior and interior shots too. It sold that image of the future that I was so desperately looking for in a sci-fi movie. We've got this incredible meeting. This is this is Bartholomew's office. It's really sleek and really ultra cool. In this meeting, he basically is asking Jonathan E to quit. And Jonathan is like, I don't know about that. He's like, I don't know. They're trying to sweeten the deal. He's like, I don't know. Uh, uh, I don't know. The way that James Caan kind of acts, he's like, I don't know. It was great. And so I loved all of that. You get the sense that this isn't a choice, that they're not asking him to retire. that it is something that he must do. He likes the game too much, and he doesn't want to let his boys down. And so, when we have this conversation about, like, I don't want to let my team down, I really wanted and was hoping that there were a few scenes where we can see how close knit the entire team was to him, and that was what was missing from the story. I still give this movie a high score, so it's not a detriment to the story that they didn't do that. It would have been a nice little extra emotional addition to this whole thing. I love this particular moment visually because here you have Jonathan in the clear, but Bartholomew is hidden between the shades here, and it is to show us his intentions aren't clear. He's not being truthful, and I love that. It's like these visual clues are just wonderful, wonderful. I love that. Give me visual clues. And even here, like you have Jonathan takes a look back to see Bartholomew, but we have him completely surrounded in red. It's basically anger, defiance, and even violence, right? They're setting you up for the moments and that may be ahead for this character, while he's still also too surrounded by these cold edges here. So it's very, very interesting. You can read so much into the visuals. It's just beautiful. He gets curious and he wants to go to the library to see if he can find anything about the past, about the culture, anything about executives, things like that. He wants to know about things that are classified, and he gets basically shut down right away. And you have Moon Pie right next to him. They're really good friends. And, even though Moon Pie doesn't understand everything that's going on, he's trying to be there for, his teammate. There's a lock between these two characters throughout the film, which I do adore. As we go on further, there's spoilers. If you want to continue, don't mind the spoilers. Do continue if you do want to see this movie and get the shock and get the experience, I would suggest cutting off right about now, and coming back and let's commiserate and see if we share the same feelings. When he gets home, there is a young lady there. See, she's played by Pamela Hensley, and this is Mackie. Mackie is a contracted girl that is contracted to stay with him. She is assigned by the executives to spend time with him. She gets a notice that day that, hey, they're going to transfer me to another executive. So I won't be here anymore. But you can see that there is a friendship between himself and Mackie. When you wouldn't call it love, right? There's a friendship. She's sort of a hired companion, and it seems to be a regular part of their society. And then we have Cletus here, played by Moses Gunn, who is an executive, and there are moments when you can see scars on his body. So he used to be one of these athletes, and he's now become an executive through, I suppose, hard work and possibly retiring when they told him to retire. And just doing what he's told you, and you follow the rules, you're rewarded, right, in this society. And so that is the case here. And we have sort of this very interesting dynamic between these two, like the former player he's also kind of a coach too, and they were like a real playful connection to each other. And Jonathan E is like, hey, they asked me to retire, and I don't want to retire, so let me know what my choices are. Try to find out what's going on. Why do they want to get rid of me? He's asking for help, and you get the sense, Cletus is like, just do what they tell you to do, but also is like, okay, for you, I'll do this one thing. I'll check. I'll see. I was actually afraid, like maybe he was going to turn on him, but he's actually a good friend. He's actually a good friend, and about probably as good of a friend as you could have in this world. And so you can see how posh and how wonderful these athletes are living. But, for Jonathan E, that's all nice, but he doesn't care. He wants to continue to play. He loves the sport, and he wants to defy uh, his fate, if you will, and he doesn't like being told what to do. This is another piece of the story in which they kind of develop. Jonathan used to be with this girl here, Ella. For some reason, they said mutually, she left to be with another executive, and I think they she lives in Paris now or something like that. Um, and so he is lamenting her, the loss of her, and he feels like the executives did him wrong and dirty, and so that could be fueling a little bit of this resistance to do whatever it is that they tell him to do. He's been storing up a lot of anger and a lot of pain from this experience, and he misses her a lot. So he's got all these videotapes of them hanging out together. Can be on occasion watching them and reminiscing about the love that he lost. But the executives send him another young lady, and this young lady is called Daphne, and Daphne is a piece of work, I'll tell you that much. He knows that she's there because of the executives. It's already setting up all of this tension and anger, and I'm not sure if he had anything to do to getting rid of his last person. All I know is that she said, "Oh well, I'm being assigned to another person." Mackie really liked him, but this one, you she doesn't like him at all. She doesn't like him at all, and you can tell, and she's just there to supply him with entertainment, whatever that entertainment may be. So he just, like, does all this, like, ridiculous stuff with her, like, makes her wear these dumb glasses, it's almost like he doesn't wanna look into her eyes. I mean, he's so mean, uh, and he does not treat her very nicely, and she does not treat him very nicely, but they appear together in certain places, and so we get a very strong sense of this society through this party that happens where we get to see how they do things in this world, this social impact of the society. He comes in and he is a star, basically. You can see Daphne behind him really not enjoying not enjoying herself. She wants him to just say retire because that's her job. Her job is there to secretly urge him to retire and make sure that he's on track to do so. And I think maybe Mackie wasn't quite willing to do something that smarmy. That's my guess. That's my guess. And so this party is very, frou frou and upper crust. Most of the women there are all assigned. You can assume some of them are assigned, some of them are not. Some of them are just upper crust women uh, in society, and then there's a gaggle of them that come in with executives, and they're all like in their early like 20s. So you can tell like yeah, that's probably one of the assigned girls from the executive. So it's very interesting to see this unique world. Uh, so yes, there's the perfect example of have these girls. It kind of reminds you a lot of Logan's Run with the outfits and stuff. So definitely feel that 70s inspire look going on there. That is a great way for a lot of young ladies to become executives is to work for the executives. Yeah, it's a very posh lifestyle because you get to be with a lot of rich people who live in luxury. You they give all of these people are on drugs. They're on a lot of drugs, and the drugs look like Tic Tacs. And yes, it's really interesting. Jonathan sees Mackie at the party, and she's totally abusing drugs to deal with her lifestyle, and that may be the fact. Like that could be one of the reasons why you don't see a whole lot of female executives is that maybe the lifestyle gets them depressed too soon, and especially if they're a lot of them are on drugs, they could possibly be dying very early in life. And so that's something to consider. That's something to consider. I'm not saying that's the case, but when you try to think about the lives of these characters and this world, it gets to be interesting because you want to know, how is it working? How is this working? And I love that because it's a very exaggerated look at our world, if you will. So there's oftentimes you will see a much older executive with a young lady or young bride, and so maybe it was saying something about, maybe it wasn't saying anything about that. Maybe it just was saying, this society, and this is how it works in this society. I know some people will say that movie is chauvinistic because it depicts women in a certain way. This is not reality. This is a make believe world. In fact, it's a dystopia, and things are really messed up all the way around for a lot of characters in this movie. You wouldn't like athletes. You wouldn't want to be one of them. It's just all I'm saying is that you wouldn't want to be an athlete, and in this world. And so this is what this is depicting, is the messed up society that is in this story. It doesn't mean that the story is, this is promoting anything in particular. So I like to get that out of the way because I think that's important to understand when watching this film. You're supposed to look on with horror as these people are being treated this way. So that's the whole point. And they do a great job of showing you the results of this kind of drug induced apathy kind of that they have to the structure of society. Bartholomew has a conversation privately with Jonathan E. And it's again basically talking about the same thing. Like, why won't you resign? Why are you still here? Why don't you retire? You can have this, you can have that. But Jonathan's like, nope, I'm not doing it. And he does it in a very cool way. He just never raises his voice. He never tries to attack Bartholomew. It's done two gentlemen talking to each other, but definitely Bartholomew being the more aggressive one. Yeah, there's no getting through to either one, and so the story gets even more advanced in its insanity, if you will. So I love that. So now, as I was just saying about the society and how it's treating the people, there's a whole bunch of people that go out into the field with an incredible gun here, and they basically obliterate these poor trees that are just hanging out there. They just set fire to all these trees with that gun. And at first I thought, maybe there was going to be an incident or an accident that happens because there's so much attention to it. A lot of time placed on us focusing in on these people who are enjoying this act of violence, if you will. And it is, again, the depravity of these individuals is coming out through this act of violence, and they're enjoying it. And they're like, oh wow, yes, let's blow it up, let's blow it all up. And some people have tears in their eyes, and some people are doing it with glee, and it's just this whole performative kind of moment where they are actually able to do something, and feel empowered. The gun that's was created for the film is the Incinerator Mark 6, and that is actually pretty cool that they created a gun specifically for the film. A nice prop, a nice prop. Well, their next game is with Japan, and one of the things that has happened is that there has been a reduction at some of the penalties. And so that makes the game a lot more dangerous. The more they reduce the penalties, the more dangerous the game becomes. There's a kind of a moment here of bonding between Jonathan and Moon Pie, and it's actually a funny scene too. It's endearing as well. So, yeah, they have to fight against Japan, and it's very like this is very long. It's very drawn out, and I actually liked this portion where they kind of took moments to find players from each of the other teams. This is the counterpart on that side, and they're looking at their counterpart. For Moon Pie, I think Moon Pie in particular had a lot of negative things to say about Japanese people in general. I'm not sure if it got back to these guys or he's just been cracking jokes that have been inappropriate. They're like, mm-hmm, we're watching you, we're watching you, we're watching you. And so with the lack of penalties, they specifically target him and they take him out. It's a moment in which we've got like two different camera settings and setups, and we get like a full slow motion. There's like slow motion, regular motion, all kinds of things happen. And it's really an awful moment because they hit him in the head in a certain way where it's like I don't think you're gonna make it. I don't think he's gonna make it. That was a kill shot. And so he's laying down on the ground, and we have this weird moment. There's another weird moment where he's laying down on the ground. People are working on him. They're giving him all, they're trying to revive him or at least get him comfortable so he can go to the hospital. And right alongside, taking glances every once in a while, Jonathan is like slowly putting on his gear, just taking his time very slowly. And then he goes out there and he is brutal. Okay. And he wins the game for everybody. It's so wild. Like so you're like, what is happening in this scene? It just seems so weird. So even though you don't hear him say it, he is actually going out there to win this game for his teammate, and he's going to be taking some revenge too. Some revenge too. So it was wonderfully set up. The rivalry, the reason why these guys get Moon Pie, they were able to get this high concept of a society that is really messed up, and the minutia of what is going on in a game and put them together. It's like, wow, brilliant. You got me to care about a game. How did you do that? How did you do that? So yeah, he goes in there and tears up shop. So really, Moon Pie has absolutely no family, no one to take care of him. He is alone. All he has is the sport. Just about when they were like, yeah, you've got to, sign his life away. Jonathan's like, no, keep him on life support. What are you doing? And he said, I'll make sure that he gets the care he needs. Or they fly him back to America and he gets the care that he needs. And I was thinking all along, to be an actor and to like have to be inside of a little cube like that, it's gotta be insanely claustrophobic. You can't just get up out of there. I clap my hands and give a standing ovation to John Beck for actually doing that scene and not like losing his mind in there. Who knows? He may have, but offset. But he stuck in there for the moments that were needed on screen. So yes, that was a tough moment to watch. Even like no matter what his problems were, and of course he's a bigot and all that stuff. It it was really sad to see him like that. Uh, because like I said, you feel bad for him because he really truly didn't have anybody in his life except for Jonathan. And Jonathan, of course, comes through in flying colors. Did not know he was going to do something like that. Especially when you see him like watch him like lay down on the floor and there's nothing he can do except for do something in that game. There's that the he's very it was very well done, and I get the psychological impact of that. He decides he needs to go to Helsinki, I believe, to get some information, to do some more research. Daphne decides, hey, I need to be with you. I need to go with you. You've got to retire. Why don't you retire? And so He's like, "I can't trust you. I need you to back off." I mean, she's, like, grabbing at him, and he's like he just grabs her and, like, scars her on her face, like, manhandles her, and I was like, "Oh, no. Don't do it, don't do it." I thought he was gonna go, too far, and I think even the way he handles her is a little bit on the rough side, but she was not letting up. And that's why I always tell, young ladies always like anything goes down, guy gets upset, just back away, let him cool down, and don't go after him. So in this case, I think he was wrong for manhandling her like that, but she was really after him. She was really after him and being very, very negative. He was like done with hearing her in his ear like that. And I think he took out some of his aggression on her that he had for the executives. With somebody like her whose job it is to be front facing, beautiful, and to entertain executives, having a beautiful face is part of the thing. So this could probably have messed up her employment. Unless the executive said, "Hey, look, we put you in the line of fire, and we'll compensate you for doing that." Who knows what was to happen? I was concerned a little bit for her. Now, we in Helsinki, we get to meet the scientist guy played by Ralph Richardson. We had seen him recently on the channel in the movie Dragon Slayer, and he was wonderful in that. He just has a great way of showing up on set and just being instantly grounding and instantly credible. So this is actually putting that veneer of credibility on this film, as well as having John Houseman on board as well. So his thing is that he's just a little bit quirky. He's just a little bit quirky. Now, during this time, there are lots of hallways and rooms to go through, doors to close and open, and stairs to go down and up. I thought maybe that could have been trimmed a little bit, but maybe it was saying something about this location. I wouldn't want to take that away from the film because I think that it was saying something about this heavily encased location that you had to go through doors and doors and doors and stairs and all these different places in order to get to the place where you want. It was a highly secure location. And so at one point, he sits down on the stairs. They have this conversation. It seems like they're going on for a while this way. And so Jonathan says, "Well, I'm going to sit down and join him." And as soon as he sits down, the scientist the scientist stands up, and it's really hilarious. And it's a moment of hilarity, but it doesn't get to the point of yuck yucks, right? It's just a funny moment that happens in the story. And there's also a joke in here about missing or losing the 13th century in the library books. And so nobody knows anything about the 13th century because they lost it and they lost the data, and so it's gone forever. And that's quite fascinating to me. I think it's very interesting that you could lose information if you don't have it written down somewhere or if it's not printed somewhere. And if it's all digital, you can totally lose it. And was making a commentary about that, and I absolutely adored it. Now we get to the secret room where this organism zero is there, which is contains all of the memories of human history. It's what he calls a memory pool, and it's a wonderful idea and looks very high tech. And look at that! That you could totally see this in a movie today, and that would visually transfer very, very well. Done practically here. This is also like another another thing here is that all of the stuff that was done in the movie, it's a very low tech movie set in the future. They are unable to retrieve the information because the computer gets stuck a bit, and so they can't get the information that they need. And so Jonathan is sort of left to his own devices and kind of lost. He's like, okay, well, I don't know what to do. And so he goes home. The executives are all meeting now. They decide to do everything in their power to get Jonathan to resign or quit or retire. To retire is the word that they use. I thought they were going to kill him, to be very honest with you, like a flat out execution, but it's not. It's a series of wild things. The first thing is that they send his girlfriend, ex girlfriend, Ella, to the place, or the ex-assigned girl to the place. So whatever she had going on with that executive she was with, who she actually had children with him, uh, she ended up like dropping all of that to be with Jonathan. And of course, Daphne is nowhere to be seen. As soon as he sees her, he knows that she was sent on purpose. He knows why she's there, and it really feels very clinical. But also, this is allowing him the opportunity to heal from this very open wound of her leaving, and he gets to talk to her about things, and he gets to be with her for just a little bit longer, for or the last time, or maybe forever. He doesn't know. He does not know. And so there is this very, like, a coldness between them, but also a warmth too. He really loves her. He really cares about her a lot. You get the feeling like she does have feelings for him, but we're not quite sure exactly what those feelings are, to be very honest. Uh, and if she has children, she's probably thinking about her children, and she's probably thinking if they're okay, and so on and so forth. But he is like in this sort of blissful state. I think the executives were like, yeah, he's going to definitely for sure retire if we pull this really big stunt. And so it doesn't work. He still ends up going to the last game. The last game is a trip, though. It is straight up murder, death, kill. And if you know the reference to that, please do leave it in the chat. Basically, death rollerball, because there are no penalties whatsoever, and so people are straight up killing each other. It's insanity. And I believe they're playing against New York, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Houston versus New York, and it's just they're just killing each other. They're just murdering each other out there, like straight up murdering each other. It's insanity. It's about survival. And there is a special level of pain and suffering that uh, that Jonathan has gone through, in which he is perfect. You look into his eyes, and this is a man who's angry, but he's also trying to survive. And that is why the crowd is just going insane. Now, during the process of this last fight, they take out the sound of the crowd. And so it sounds like the crowd is completely silent, but they're not. They're actually cheering and stuff. They just remove the sound of the the crowd, and it's just sort of intimately dealing with the violence in a way. So and the struggle that Jonathan is going through. And I did love the way that was shot. I love the way it was performed. And I mean, I mean, what kind of a game do you have, like, fires going off on the arena? It's insanity. And yeah, it brutality, insanity, it's incredible. And he's got his the last guy in his way, and he is about to smash his face in, basically. And he decides not to. Why? He's already won. He's already tackled the guy, put him down on the ground. All he has to do is put the ball into the goal, and he has won the game. Even though he is one of the fiercest fighters out there, he is still a human being even after all of this. Even after surviving all of this, he's still a human being, which is great, which is great. He still has his humanity, even though he's done everything he can to survive. And of course, the some executives, there's like a difference. Some executives are really upset about it, and others are like, "Wow, what a guy! What an incredible fighter and survivor that we have in Jonathan E." And the entire stadium is chanting, "Jonathan, Jonathan, Jonathan," and it's just wonderful. I was like, wow, what a moment in cinematic history. I love this. I really do. Just the idea that the human spirit, no matter how crazy and insane the challenge is, can come through anyhow. This is inspiring to people. And Jonathan is inspiring the crowd. This is what the executives were afraid of and why they wanted him to go. They didn't want him to be able to show people that they could be strong. Jonathan is just a man. But, if people started thinking, "Hey, I'm just a man too. I could do the same things Jonathan can do," or think that the executives couldn't have mastery over their lives, that they could actually change things for the better. And that's kind of where we leave off with everybody chanting Jonathan, and he's like, "Yeah, give me the next game. I am not retiring." And it's wonderful. Just a simple defiance against the odds. I loved it, guys. Incredible, incredible movie. So inspired. I was all juiced up. Look at his face. He's ready. He's like, "Give me the next game. Give me that next game." Now, when I was watching this, I was like, wait a minute. I didn't really realize how much Ben Affleck really favors James Caan. I was like, wow, there's a lot of like similarities, not like totally twinsies, but I was like, wow, there's a lot that's very similar between, especially as Ben Affleck has gotten older. Around the same time, this interesting movie was part of the sort of the zeitgeist. It's called Death Race 2000. It's not as well crafted as this movie. It stars David Carradine, Simone Griffith, and Sylvester Stallone, guys. Let me know if you've seen this movie. That was really quite interesting. Uh, David Carradine in this outfit is really quite interesting. I saw this a long time ago, but I have to say I don't remember a whole lot about it, so I'll have to watch it again. Then we have this really interesting movie here with Raquel Welch, Kansas City Bomber. The byline says the hottest thing on wheels. And then we did have this. This was done in 2002. It starred Chris Klein. Then we had LL Cool J, and we had Rebecca Romaine in this as well. I'm not sure if could call it an exact remake, but they did make a lot of changes to the characters and the plot. So it's really interesting. Rebecca Romaine is in her name in the movie is called Black Widow. I want to see it one day just for the heck of seeing it, but I'm not sure if you guys have seen this 2002 version. Please do let me know what you thought about it, if it was interesting. And yes, just in closing, great movie overall, and I would give this movie a 9.5. Definitely. 9.5, yeah. Yes, and I hope this wasn't too long, but I really wanted to get into juicy detail about this movie and how much I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun for me. I'm so glad to finally catch up with society and have watched Rollerball. At least all my sci-fi friends out there, we have now. I have now reached a level which we can have a nice conversation about how brilliant this movie is. There are some things that I think, could have been tweaked in the story, but I nothing nothing to stop me from giving it a 9.5, and it's really great. Then I just love the font for the music, the movie. That computer font that we all know and love now is just really a lot of fun to see it used all over the movie. And the use of organs for the score was just really incredible. It wasn't used everywhere, but when it was used, it really felt like this heavy, demonstrative kind of like burden. And it was like, and that's kind of what it is, to be kind of told this is how you're supposed to live your life. And so, and you have to do what we tell you to do. That kind of like parenting on a larger scale. That there's always somebody telling you what to do, and if you play nice, you can get good things in life. So that was kind of like a cool emotional level that you got from the music, and I really love that. And yes, I big thumbs up from me. Big thumbs up from me. Guys, once again, I want to thank Joseph Begay for sending me a physical copy of Rollerball so I can add that to my physical collection. Physical media is so necessary right now. So definitely a thank you for that. And also, this is one of those movies I want to thank everybody for insisting that I watch this. This is a wonderful movie, and I'm so glad that I can add this to my knowledge base of sci-fi retro movies. Well, anyway, guys, I hope that you have a great day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.